Onic's new roster is turning heads, and it might just be their most strategic shakeup yet. The legendary Landak Kuning has officially revealed their lineup for MPL Indonesia Season 17, and fans are buzzing. With a mix of fresh talent, cross-region transfers, and a revamped coaching structure, this isn't just another roster announcement. It's a statement. Today we're breaking down every change and examining what this revitalized Onic squad means for the upcoming season and beyond. Welcome back to Mobile Legends News. Onic Esports has just dropped their official roster for MPL ID Season 17, and this shuffle could be the key to reclaiming their spot at the top of Indonesian Mobile Legends. We'll dive into who made the cut, who's out the door, and why these moves could reshape Onic's competitive future. From international transfers to rising MDL stars and a new head coach calling the shots, we've got all the must-know details right here. Based on the officially announced roster for MPL ID Season 17, Onic fields Grant Kelra Pilas in the gold lane, Samuel Hosho and Nikki Kiboy Pontonuwu in the roaming pool, Gilang Sands as their mid laner, Kyrie Rayos del Sol in the jungle, and Moch Lutpi Arjanto in the XP lane, under head coach Calvin C.W. Winata with Ryan Paddington Fabrianto as assistant coach. This lineup follows the departure of Clayton Severo Cuswanto to Onic PH and the inactive status of Skylar, marking one of the organization's most meaningful structural shifts in recent seasons. Let's start with the headline move: Kelra entering the gold lane. Kelra arrives from Onic PH with a reputation for mechanical sharpness and high-pressure carry performance. From a coaching perspective, this is not just a talent acquisition. It is a strategic injection of a different regional tempo. MPLPH historically emphasizes calculated aggression and late-game composure, and Kelra embodies that balance. In the current MLBB meta, where gold lane scaling and positioning can decide entire playoff series, having a gold laner who can both absorb pressure and explode in late-game teamfights gives Onic flexibility in drafting. They are no longer forced into purely early-game snowball compositions. With Kelra, they can draft for scaling, secure safe lane conditions, and pivot into objective-based macro setups around mid-game lords. His synergy with Kyrie is another layer that cannot be overlooked. Kyrie remains the team's jungle general and tempo controller. As one of the most accomplished junglers in the region, his ability to manipulate pathing, secure neutral objectives, and punish overextensions is foundational to Onic's identity. When you pair a decisive jungler with a gold laner capable of capitalizing on space, you create a dual threat structure. Kyrie can either enable Kelra by drawing attention elsewhere on the map, or rely on Kelra as a secondary damage insurance policy in extended teamfights. That dual pressure forces opponents into uncomfortable draft decisions: commit resources to shut down jungle tempo, or contain the scaling marksman. The roaming dynamic this season is particularly intriguing because Onic is fielding both Kiboy and Samuel. Kiboy brings championship-level experience in a deep hero pool that allows Onic to draft aggressive initiators or protective utility roamers depending on the matchup. He has historically been a major voice in objective setups, especially during early Turtle and Lord contests. His timing on engages and disengages often determines whether Onic flips a fight or resets properly. On the other hand, Samuel represents Onic's developmental philosophy in action. Promoted from Onic Prime in MDL, he is proof that the organization is not just importing talent, but cultivating it as well. From a strategic standpoint, having two viable roamers gives Coach CW tactical elasticity. Against teams that rely on heavy early aggression, Onic can field more experienced voices like Kiboy. Against teams that struggle with unpredictable rotations, Samuel's hunger and MDL-honed instincts may offer sharper early map creativity. This internal competition also raises the team's practice intensity, which is critical across a long MPL regular season. Moving to mid lane, Sands plays one of the most underrated but vital roles in this entire ecosystem. The mid lane connects everything, from jungle invades, silent pressure, to objective setups. A strong mid laner stabilizes vision control and ensures that early skirmishes are not isolated gambles. With Kelra likely requiring structured scaling windows in some drafts, Sans' responsibility here increases. He must balance wave management with timely rotations, ensuring that gold lane is not exposed while still enabling Kyrie's jungle invasions. In teamfights, mid lane burst damage often determines whether Onic can delete priority targets before extended clashes begin. Sans becomes the bridge between early tempo and late game execution. Then we have Loot P in the XP lane, anchoring the map's opposite side. XP lane might not always dominate highlight reels, but it defines structural stability. A reliable XP laner absorbs pressure, controls side waves, and becomes the frontline backbone during mid to late game fights. Loot P's presence allows Onic to draft more damage-oriented junglers or gold laners without sacrificing frontline durability. In scaling drafts, he becomes the shield that protects Kelra. In early aggression drafts, he becomes the secondary engage threat that splits enemy attention. The flexibility he provides in hero selection makes Onic less predictable in best of 3 and best of 5 formats. Now let's zoom out and talk identity. What kind of Onic are we likely to see in MPLID Season 17? With this composition, the most logical trajectory is a hybrid macro identity. They have the personnel to contest early objectives aggressively through Kyrie and their roaming pool, but they also have the firepower to play disciplined scaling compositions around Kelra. That duality is dangerous because it prevents opponents from reading their drafts easily. In previous eras, Onic sometimes leaned heavily into early snowball tempo. This roster suggests a more layered approach, one that can shift gears depending on opponent weaknesses. The coaching change under CW also signals potential structural refinement. A fresh head coach often means updated drafting priorities, scrim culture adjustments, and clearer communication hierarchies. With international caliber players and internal promotions sharing the stage, maintaining clarity in shot calling becomes critical. If CW can harmonize veteran voices like Kyrie and Keyboy with emerging energy from Samuel, Onic could become one of the most cohesive macro teams in the league. Another subtle but important factor here is cross-region experience. With both Kyrie and Kelra having roots in MPLPH competition, Onic benefits from diverse strategic exposure. Different regions interpret the meta differently. Integrating those philosophies into MPL Indonesia could give Onic unconventional draft angles or rotation timings that domestic opponents are slower to anticipate. Ultimately, this roster is not built purely for highlight reels. It is built for adaptability. It combines imported carry potential, established jungle leadership, flexible roaming depth, a stabilizing mid lane, and a durable XP anchor. That structure allows Onic to pivot between early skirmish control and disciplined late game setups without completely overhauling their playstyle week to week. As MPL Indonesia Season 17 approaches, Onic does not just look competitive. They look strategically layered. If synergy develops quickly and role clarity is maintained, this could be one of their most intelligently assembled rosters yet. The pieces are there, the question now is execution. Onic's new roster heading into MPL Indonesia Season 17 represents more than just a shuffle. It signals a strategic recalibration, with Kelra reinforcing the gold lane, Kyrie continuing as the jungle anchor, and the dual roamer setup of Keyboy and Samuel adding depth and flexibility. Onic is clearly aiming for adaptability over predictability. The presence of Sans in mid and Loot P in the XP lane keeps structural stability intact, while the coaching shift under CW suggests a renewed focus on refinement and long-term cohesion. That said, talent on paper does not automatically translate to trophies. Early weeks will be crucial. Fans should watch for clean, objective setups, clear shot calling in mid-game rotations, and how quickly Kelra integrates into Onic's macro system. If synergy builds fast, this roster has championship potential. If communication lags, however, growing pains are inevitable. Patience will be key, but so will the signs of chemistry in those first few series. So, what do you think about Onic's new lineup? Is this their smartest rebuild yet? Or are there question marks you're worried about? Drop your predictions in the comments and don't miss our next video where we break down and preview Onic's first matches with this brand new roster. Till next time!